A very good evening to all the beautiful peoples who have come from different sections of life and also society and work to be a part of this conference. So, like my presentation is based on a recent research. This research is a bit critical, but actually it carries no intention to question the political status of Manipur, because I have traveled back to the independent Manipur when it was not a part of India, because I feel like that was also very important to understand the understanding of gender expression, gender identity, privilege, all these things, which was clearly mentioned in the Constitution Act, Independent Manipur Constitution Act. Why I feel this is important is like Manipur was not a part of British India. It was a protected land. So here question lies of around Section 377 movement. What are the benefits that in which the community are getting out of it in that from that movement? Whether is it important for us to understand the real scenario of the state, where there is a lot of conflict, there is armed conflict, and how the conflict has affected the lives of the transgender community. And this study is also a kind of comparative study between the ground realities of the community and also the legal development that has been taken place in India. So this is the title and the background. Please go. And the background is, the background of the study is Manipur, Indigenous, Nupi, Maanbi, and Nupa, Maanba. We basically focus the study around Manipuri, Indigenous, Nupi, Maanbi, and Nupa, Maanba. So why we focus on Manipuri, Indigenous, Nupi, Maanbi, and Nupa, Maanba is like Manipur being a land which is very much isolated from the rest of India. It's very difficult for us to access to the community who are living in other part of the country, but people from the mainland India or other part of the country can easily come down to Manipur and do research. But for us, it's very difficult. That's why we centered a study around the Manipuri, Indigenous, Nupi, Maanbi, and Nupa, Maanba. And also we try to understand the native perception of transness, identity, and indigeneity, because it's also important for the community to understand what is the important marker to my trans identity, the whole idea of transness. So how the social experience and the environmental experience influence to the gender identity and expression. In order to understand that, we interacted with the community and get a lot of reflections from them and also responses. The socio-cultural aspects, because the socio-cultural aspect is also a part of the native perception of transness, identity, and indigeneity. And as I have mentioned earlier, the 1947 Act was the first draft, which was drafted by the King of Manipur, and in that subsection, it's mentioned about privilege, and in that content of privilege, it could also, it's for all the citizens of Manipur, and they talk about rights to equality. Unlike the Article 24 and 19, which is in the Indian Constitution, it talks about irrespective of gender, caste, creed, and everything. It's completely not mentioned in the Manipur Constitution Act, meaning like we do not have this caste essentialism. Our understanding of equality is a citizen of Manipur, the people of Manipur. There is not that kind of categorization of people based on the caste, based on the ethnic identity. Please go to next slide. So this is the methodology. We have conducted 5 focus group discussion in 5 different districts of Manipur, Imphal East, West, Thawal, Kakching, and Bishnupur, and also semi-structured interview for 5 stakeholders, Children Program Social Welfare Department, Joint CEO, Election Commission, Manipur State Commission for Women Education, and Manipur State Legal Services Authority. We also include 1 case study from Moira, just to let other audience to understand the diverse livelihood that the community have taken off in Manipur. Next. These are a few quotes from the community. So this is all about their understanding of being a trans in a Manipuri society. Many of them expressed that they wanted to live as a women without going for bottom surgery. And they are not having this keen interest of changing their gender identity in their, IDs. And also they are not having keen interest of going for bottom surgery. But they just wanted to live as a women. As per their response, we also got to know that many of the family members and also the neighbor, they are supported in the way they wanted to live. And the second one is from other community members. She said members participated in the discussion of the transgender community. Like this person was trying to, it's not comparing the Manipuri indigenous trans culture or livelihood with the Hijra or Kinnar community, but she was just trying to say what she felt. So like she's very proud to be a Manipuri Nupi Maanbi, because she said we don't resort on begging for our livelihood. We have our independent earning. We have these big beauty parlors running across the state. So this is some of the thoughts that she shared during the focus group discussion. Next slide. And washroom is a big challenge, and this GRS opinion is there. As I have said, that many of them didn't want to go for the bottom surgery, but they just wanted to live either as male or female. And the society actually do not accept that, but a society has certain level of trans tolerance in Manipur. Next slide. So this is a case study from Moirang. Moirang is a place where Loktak Lake is located. And there are transfusers. And because of the recent development, there's a lot of development projects coming in Manipur, and then they have started clearing off the floating island. And this girl, a few years back, she used to collect the fooders of the cattle and everything from around her house. But now she have to travel like 4 or 5 kilometers away from her house by the canoe. Okay, by using canoe, because like the grass and everything is not there. So that severely affected the livelihood of this person. And she's not the only person. There are a few more transfusers who depend their livelihood on water. So the transgender rules, even the NACHA judgment has not talked about this diverse livelihood option. And what I'm trying to figure out here is like whether the law itself and the rules itself is comprehensive in a way that it can be applicable to the diverse trans community that exists across the nation. Because, like this also question whether the family acceptance and the relationship with the neighbors. Like when we talk about the extended type of family, we feel like neighbors are the extended family for us. Like for example, if somebody is going outside the state, then the neighbor will come. They'll give like 10 rupees, 20 rupees as a kind of, like blessing them for a good luck. So that kind of culture is still there. And this transgender rule talks about rehabilitation for transgender people. And the livelihood option that's given there legally is very limited. So how about, are we also need to talk about dealing with all this development project that's taking place in the Northeast, not only in Manipur, but they have started constructing big roads and then obstructing all the natural environment, because many of the trans people are also depending their livelihood on nature, like paddy field. Paddy field, earlier, many of the trans people, they have a group called Kulang. They have 7 trans. And a few of them form the group with cisgender women. Okay, so they go to the field, and this is the season, like November, starting from November till January, they will go to the paddy field, and they do work, they earn a lot of money, they make gauze out of it and everything. But now, it has been replaced by machine. So, it also affects the livelihood of these peoples. And these peoples are not aware of all these trans rules and then gender marker, whatever it is. Because, they have not got this formal gender conversation, gender sexuality education, but they are happy living in their own world. They are happy living in their own environment, and they enjoy it. So how do we protect them? How do we make sure that the law and the rules also benefit this community? Next. So this is a gender marker in ID document, which is very, very problematic for the trans people. Like, I got the transgender passport. Probably I was the first person who got transgender passport in the Northeast. It was in 2014, after Supreme Court Nalsa judgment, and it was written T. And in the recent passport, it was written X. And in the voter ID, in my time, it was written O. And now it is TZ. So when we took the interview from the CEO, joint CEO, he said, this development of giving this provision to the transgender peoples to change their gender marker in the voter ID has no relation or connection with the Supreme Court Nalsa judgment, neither the Supreme Court Nalsa judgment nor the trans rule. So it clearly proves that there is a lot of miscommunication and then improper implementation between the, within these bureaucrats. So there is a lot of bureaucratic haze around it. And what affects is to the transgender people's life. Because if you do not have this, matching gender marker in your all document, that's a very big issue for you. For example, if you travel outside the countries or not travel outside the countries, but here also, if you go to an institution, producing all your document, and in one is written O, one is written TZ, one is F, one is M. So people will definitely raise question. So it also created anxiety within the community, and in Manipur, many of them, this is the reason why many of them ask for benefit. When we have been facilitating this gender change, gender ID certificate through this, district magistrate. But the problem is community always asks for benefit, okay? Because so far there has been a lot of publication, lot of news report, which is related with the transgender rights, legal rights and everything. But in the field, in the ground, nothing is happening. And also it says, like, in the transgender rule, they easily say, you can get one gender dysphoria certificate from a chief medical officer, and then you can submit it and you can easily get either male or female gender, ID and certificate. But in the field, there is a trans doctor. She's still struggling to get this transgender, female certificate. And one trans man is also having the same struggle in Manipur. Because these people keep asking other document. Even in my case recently, I went to passport office, regional passport office in Manipur, and the person, I have submitted all the documents, the district magistrate document from transgender to female, the section 7, subsection 7, everything I followed, and I have submitted a complete document. Even after that also, this person have asked me to produce the entire document, medical, surgery document. But for me, I had to, somehow I had to compromise, because I desperately need to have that female passport. So I went back to the home and collected all the documents and then submitted to him again. It was took a long hour to sensitize that person. And for us, in Manipur, if person is going for a bottom surgery, meaning the person is in the privileged position, And for those who are not having this capacity to undergo for sex reassignment surgery, they are still in the trans category, which means like the society still consider them as a kind of, community who are encrusted with a lot of nasty character, nasty behavior. And once you chop off your penis and come out, meaning like, oh yes, you are a woman. So that also kind of, there is also a very strong cisgender control over this. Not only the rules, but also this surgical strike itself also associated with kind of privilege coming from the society, family, and also from the community. Next. So finding and recommendation. So I was supposed to read out something, a very interesting data. It's very tiny. So according to the literacy rate, the transgender population in Manipur is around 4,000 to 2,500 trans women, and the rest are trans men. And the literacy rate is, according to 2011 census, 67.50%. And this time, both transgender men and women who are registered as transgender voters was 208. So what I'm trying to convey here is the difference in number, the government available data and the real data. So like you'll find these big hoardings, few transgender people, famous transgender people in Manipur showing their fingers and then rights to vote. But actually in reality only 208 got registered. And we also wanted to question the accountability of the government in order to scale up the awareness. Because these people, the stakeholders, they are doing this for their namesake only. They will call few community members, then they will do this meeting, and then they will give away the certificate in front of the public. Then they will, publish this report in big news. So this is how it works. And this visualization of transgender is something that really affects to the trans development. Next. So these are few recommendations which we have recommended for the social legal inclusion of transgender peoples and economic and livelihood inclusion. Next, please. Community strengthening and empowerment, recognition of Manipuri, Indigenous, Nupi, Maanbi, Nupa, Maanba. Then education completely is totally very important because if we wanted to sensitize in a mass population, then we have to start from the educational institution itself. There need the inclusion of transgender or sexuality and gender in the school curriculum, so that from a primary level, if the student have started getting the knowledge of the gender and the variant gender and sexuality narratives, then it will be easier for them to to make them grow up as a very sensible person towards gender and sexuality. So next, please. This is a photograph taken during Ningol Chakoba. The one with the big glasses was me, and this is a trans man. Thank you so much.